That was a knockdown, without a doubt. You can't spin it no other way. It's too clear. And I think the commission needs to do something about it because it can give me an incentive, anytime I'm not feeling good in a fight, take a knee.
Baffling is that it wasn't a knockdown. I mean, look, he wasn't hurt. There's no doubt about that. But if you take a knee in the fight and you touch down, whilst punches are being thrown, it has to be a knockdown.
I'm not going to say honest because I don't know if honesty had something to do with it. I don't know. But definitely we need better refs that assure themselves, know how to make a decision, know they're making.
Newly leaked footage has reportedly confirmed how Gervonta Davis cheated against Lamont Roach. On March 1st, the Barclays Center in Brooklyn hosted a fight that had the boxing world buzzing. Davis defended his WBA lightweight title against Roach, but one moment in the 9th round sparked major controversy. Davis suddenly took a knee after a light jab barely touched his face. Under standard boxing rules, this should have been ruled a knockdown, and the referee should have started a full count. But instead, the fight continued as if nothing happened, keeping the scorecard razor close and ultimately leading to a majority draw.
A majority draw.
Did Gervonta Davis take a knee, and should he have been deducted a point and in the end lost that fight to Roach, in your opinion?
Yeah, in my opinion, if it was a draw, he take a knee. And plus the corner go up and put it a towel in the face, that's a disqualification for sure. I'm talking about the rules.
In the days after the fight, questions have continued to swirl, not just about the referee's decision, but also about Davis' actions during that crucial moment. Now, newly leaked footage is adding even more fuel to the fire, suggesting that Davis may have intentionally manipulated the fight to gain an unfair advantage.
And that's not a shot at Tank. I respect Tank, and I like Tank a lot, but you can't do that.
They reversed the result of your fight.
Yeah.
Should they reverse the result of that fight as well?
Just depends. Like if that changes the whole fight, if that gives Roach a victory, give him the victory. That's how you keep the integrity of the sport, right? That's why they suspended me, right, to keep the integrity of the sport. So I feel like if you're gonna do it to me, you got to do it to everybody.
Newly surfaced footage, reportedly from an undisclosed source within the broadcast team, provides a fresh angle on the controversial 9th round, one that was previously unseen by the public. Observers have pointed out several unusual details in Davis' behavior, fueling speculation about what really happened in that moment. The footage appears to show Davis pausing right after the jab, almost as if the move was premeditated rather than an instinctive reaction to punch. His body language and the timing of his knee drop seem oddly deliberate. In the same clip, a member of Davis' corner is seen stepping in unusually close, as if anticipating the moment. While it's common for cornermen to assist between rounds, the timing and proximity in this instance have raised suspicions. Some analysts argue that Davis' sudden drop to one knee, followed by a quick retreat toward his corner, resembles tactics used to slow down a fight or break an opponent's momentum. This behavior is a stark contrast to the natural reactions typically seen when a fighter is genuinely hurt. These subtle cues have led many fans and boxing experts to believe that what seemed like an accident, possibly sweat or grease affecting his vision, may have actually been a calculated move to disrupt Roach's flow. In response to the growing controversy, Davis and his team have been quick to shut down the allegations. Through social media and press interviews, Davis insisted that his actions were completely within the rules, claiming that his knee drop was due to temporary vision loss from hair grease, not a planned maneuver. However, many fans were already skeptical of this explanation on the night of the fight. His team also argued that leaked footage, when taken out of context, can be misleading and that the fight's full story is far more complex than a brief clip might suggest. Adding to the controversy, referee Steve Willis has faced heavy criticism for failing to call the near knockdown. While Davis' camp insists Willis made a reasonable judgment call under unusual circumstances, critics argue that the referee's inaction, combined with the calculated nature of Davis' movement, creates the impression of something more troubling, possible collusion.
Knowing how to make a decision, know they're making the right decision, emboldened to make that decision. I think that I don't know that he would have let Roach get away with that. He let Tank Davis get away with. Why? Tank Davis is a star. You know, I think he set a record for the most fans ever in Barclays Stadium. Tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I believe they hit a new attendance and maybe a gate record. They've done concerts there, they've done fights there, basketball games there.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was the record for the gate for a fight for sure. I think the Rolling Stones might be the only one that beat them at the Barclays, but either way, they did huge numbers.
The absence of an immediate official review, made worse by technical issues with the instant replay system, has only fueled suspicions. If the leaked footage is ultimately proven to show deliberate cheating, the consequences could be severe. Gervonta Davis, whose record has remained nearly spotless until now, could not only suffer a major hit to his reputation, but also face possible sanctions from boxing authorities. There are already discussions about whether the WBA or the New York State Athletic Commission might reopen an investigation into the fight. But the impact goes beyond just Davis' career. This incident has put a spotlight on the broader issues in professional boxing, a sport where split-second decisions, questionable calls, and the potential for misconduct often spark major controversies. If regulators find clear evidence of intentional rule-breaking, it could lead to demands for stricter oversight, better enforcement, and improved review systems to protect the sport's integrity.
The sport.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the reality is can the state call for an immediate rematch? I don't believe they can, the commission. It's really up to the governing body. I mean, the commission can overturn a decision or rule on a decision, but can they order a rematch? That really has to come from the governing body, the WBA, to say, if you want to remain lightweight world champion. But everything I'm hearing is the rematch is going to happen anyway. Like, I think it's pretty much done.
Talk to us about the star power in this May 2nd card.
Yeah, I mean, you've got three of the hottest young fighters in terms of that, that social media presence.
This latest controversy has sparked intense debate among fans and boxing experts about the need for greater transparency in the sport. While leaked footage can sometimes be taken out of context, it also highlights the flaws in the current review system. Boxing commissions may now face pressure to adopt new technologies and stricter protocols to ensure that every questionable moment is thoroughly and objectively reviewed. Many fans have already taken to social media, calling for governing bodies to release the full fight footage and provide a clear explanation of the referee's decisions. While the leaked clip has certainly added fuel to the fire, it's important to remember that allegations alone don't prove wrongdoing. The images and angles captured in the video raise serious concerns, but they only show part of what happened that night.
I've heard some people saying, that, he should be disqualified. He went back to the corner. I don't buy that, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that's a warning, but it's a bit of a bizarre situation. For me, there was a lot of people in boxing that were saying that this is a really tough fight. Like, Lamont Roach is a serious fighter. I said it might not be the biggest profile fight, but it's actually quite a tough fight. And Shakur said to me, even the day before, I'm telling you, he's going to have big trouble tomorrow night. And I just feel like hopefully this could be the little something that gives Gervonta a little wake-up call to take him back to the mindset of maybe where he was.
Boxing has always been a sport of fine margins, where the line between smart tactics and outright rule-breaking can sometimes blur. As the investigation continues, fans and officials will be looking for clear evidence to either confirm or disprove the allegations against Gervonta Davis. For now, the debate is in full swing. Some accuse Davis of exploiting a loophole, while his camp strongly denies any wrongdoing. Regardless of the outcome, this incident has left a lasting mark on his career, proving that in boxing, even a split-second decision can have massive consequences. The judges' razor-thin scorecards, 114 to 114, 115 to 113, told the story of a hard-fought battle as Davis defended his WBA lightweight title against Lamont Roach. But one moment overshadowed the entire fight, sparking widespread controversy, the non-knockdown call in the 9th round. As Roach pressed forward, he landed a quick 1-2 combination followed by a sharp right hook. Davis briefly paused, turned toward referee Steve Willis, and then voluntarily took a knee. However, instead of the standard knockdown ruling, Davis immediately sprinted toward the ropes, seemingly looking for a towel to wipe his face. The bizarre sequence left fans and analysts questioning what had really happened.
Just unfolded.
He's a star. He brings people. He's got a big fan base. He brings good pay-per-view numbers. I don't know what the numbers are in this, but he's one of the guys that bring good pay-per-view numbers. I think all of that, he brings that with him. When a referee allows him to take a knee, which is not a rule in boxing, and get away with it and not make it a 10-8 round. That should have been a 10-8 round. He got hit with a jab just before that. I'm not trying to go after Tank Davis. People already know. Some people say I defend him too much, that I'm saying how great he is. And he is. He's a tremendous, complete fighter, puncher, fighter, inside, outside. He's patient. He's responsible defensively.
In boxing, there are no timeouts. Once a round starts, you fight until the bell rings. Yet, during the 9th round, Gervonta Davis not only took a knee but also created an unofficial break in the action. 2 clear violations that should have led to either a disqualification or a knockdown ruling. If you're wondering whether the referee, Steve Willis, started counting, he did, but as he reached 3, instead of stopping the fight, he let Davis stand up and continue like nothing happened. The fight ended with one judge scoring it in favor of Davis, while the other 2 ruled a draw. Davis brushed off the controversy by blaming sweat and hair grease, saying, "When I was sweating, it got into my eyes. Hopefully, we can run it back in New York." Let's be clear. According to boxing rules, taking a knee without a punch should be ruled a knockdown. That ruling could have changed the entire outcome of the fight. Since the referee didn't count it as one, Lamont Roach Jr. lost his chance at a unanimous decision victory by the slimmest of margins. At 29 years old, Roach isn't letting this slide. He and his team have brought in their attorney to formally request an investigation by the New York State Athletic Commission, NYSAC. Speaking with *BoxingNews*, Roach expressed his frustration. "I'm happy with my performance for sure, but I'm frustrated with the scorecards. I thought I won a competitive fight. Even without the knee, that should have been a knockdown, so there's no excuse for me not winning." Roach also described what happened in that crucial moment. There was an exchange. He threw a left, I rolled it, came back with a right hand, landed a jab, and he took a knee. Even if he had to wipe his eye, that's a rookie mistake. Don't do that. That's a knockdown. Meanwhile, the controversy has spilled onto social media. Davis took to X, formerly Twitter, to address the backlash, writing in a now-deleted post, "They took the fight from me and made it a draw because I took that knee." He continued, "I landed the most punches in the fight. He didn't even hit me with a punch when I took the knee." But community fact-checkers quickly stepped in, flagging the tweet as misleading. In reality, CompuBox stats show that Roach outlanded Davis round after round. Roach responded by calling out the correction. "The community note is crazy. That's smooth." No matter how hard Davis tries to move past the incident, the controversy refuses to die down. And judging by the ongoing buzz, this debate is far from over. Just a year ago, Davis was at the top of his game, fresh off a dominant win over Frank Martin in 2024. He carried himself like an unbeatable champion, confident in his speed, power, and skill. But that confidence was shattered when Lamont Roach Jr. stepped into the ring. Roach came in as the underdog, with few giving him a real chance. But from the opening bell, he shocked everyone, pushing Davis harder than any opponent before. Round after round, he stood his ground, landing big shots and forcing Davis into uncomfortable positions. When the final bell rang, the judges ruled it a majority draw, but many believe Roach did more than enough to win. Now, the question remains, will this fight be remembered as a controversial draw, or will the ongoing investigation change the outcome?
He's got fast hands. He puts punches together. He goes to the body and head. He's all of that. He can counter punch. He can set traps. All of that. But he was wrong here. He got away with it. But the sport let him get away with it. There's nothing wrong with the fighters.
The controversy surrounding Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach Jr.'s fight continues to escalate, with a 9th round incident remaining the focal point. Referee Steve Willis's failure to call Davis' knee touching the canvas a knockdown might have cost Roach a unanimous decision win. Now, more than a week later, the debate over a potential rematch is intensifying. Adding to the discussion, lightweight prospect Raymond Muratala's father, Gabriel Muratala Sr., weighed in on why Davis struggled against Roach. Speaking with Elie Seckbacher's ES News, he confidently declared, "We would beat Lamont Roach." He explained that Roach's success against Davis stemmed from their amateur history, where Davis had already beaten Roach twice. However, he also pointed out why Davis couldn't dominate Roach this time. Tank was respecting him too much. "We won't respect him. We'll pressure him and make the fight happen." Meanwhile, the New York State Athletic Commission, NYSAC, has finally released its ruling on the controversial knee incident. The commission upheld a majority draw but admitted that referee Steve Willis made an error by failing to call a knockdown in the 9th round. Despite acknowledging the mistake, the commission ruled that because the fight continued for more than 3 full rounds after the incident, overturning the result wouldn't guarantee a fair outcome. Roach's lawyer, Gregory M. Smith, expressed disappointment but remained hopeful. Lamont is confident that a rematch will end with a victory, but until then, he's a people's champion at 135 pounds. Davis, on the other hand, defended his actions, insisting the knee wasn't the result of a punch, but rather due to grease from a recent hair treatment burning his eyes. Unless a rematch happens, Roach will have to accept the draw as final. Roach's team, however, remains outraged. They criticize Willis for stopping his 8-count to wave off the knockdown, a crucial decision that likely cost Roach a 10-8 round on all 3 judges' scorecards. They also called out Willis for allowing Davis to turn his back during the fight, a move that could have led to a disqualification, and for letting Davis receive mid-round assistance from his corner. Adding to the frustration, 2 judges still awarded Davis the 9th round 10-9, ultimately preserving the draw. Pro Box TV founder Gary Jonas, whose company supports Roach, voiced his disappointment. "We had to protest, but we can only control so much. Once we get Lamont back in the ring with Davis, we'll have the chance to set things right." Roach himself was hopeful the commission would grant him the victory, especially given how long they took to review the case. But on Friday, NYSAC confirmed to Roach's legal team that while Willis had made a mistake, the final outcome would stand. Despite the setback, Roach remains optimistic about securing a rematch, driven by strong public support for what many see as an unfair result. Making matters worse, Jonas revealed that the commission's review never received the full video footage of the knockdown in time, meaning a key piece of evidence was missing from their deliberations. An unofficial win is almost as good as a win. The response and support Lamont has gotten have given his career a major boost. "This was bittersweet, but it's more sweet than bitter," Jonas said. As a 16-1 betting underdog, Roach stunned many by delivering the more significant blows in the fight, twice seriously shaking Davis. However, he never seemed fazed by Davis's famous punching power. Now, looking ahead, Jonas hopes the NYSAC will learn from this controversy and ensure both fighters receive fair treatment in the future. Lamont won the fight in the eyes of the public, and we'll take that, Jonas concluded. Ultimately, the NYSAC stood by its decision, while admitting Willis's mistake. They reasoned that since the fight continued for 3 more rounds and both fighters adapted, changing the result now would be speculative. Roach and his team had formally protested, arguing that had the knockdown been recognized, he would have secured a decision victory and become a 2-division world champion. However, the ruling remained in Davis's favor, allowing him to keep his WBA lightweight title and undefeated record. The question now is, will a rematch happen, or will this controversial chapter remain open-ended?
The sport that there's a lot wrong with, and there is, and you see it, and we shouldn't keep seeing it. It's got to be stopped. A referee, that is not in the rule book. You get hit with a jab. I know there was a second or 2 in between. Sometimes you see a delay, knockdown, whatever. The punch didn't hurt him. I understand that. But he got hit a jab, and then a second, 2 seconds later, he takes a knee. Guess what? I'm sorry. That constitutes a knockdown. Your knee goes down after a punch somewhere around there. That's a knockdown.
A few days ago, Unbiased Box 2 took to X to share an intriguing interview featuring WBA super featherweight champion Lamont Roach Jr. on * Nightcap * with Shannon Sharp and Chad Johnson. The discussion naturally turned to Roach's hotly debated draw with Gervonta Davis, leading to a key question. Did the referee's miscall in round 9 influence Roach's approach in the later rounds? Without hesitation, Roach responded, "I'm gonna say no." He explained that Davis dropping to one knee wasn't a sign of defeat. It was a moment that fueled his confidence. To Roach, It was proof that his strategy was working, that Davis was feeling the pressure and beginning to falter. The simple fact that he took a knee was really a boost, because what we were doing was working, the Washington native revealed. Roach had an advantage, having already faced Davis twice in their amateur careers. After delivering a crisp three-punch combination, one of which landed flush on Davis' SI, Roach knew he had shifted the fight's momentum. Without hesitation, he turned to referee Steve Willis and demanded, "Keep counting. His tripping, that's a knockdown." As the undefeated Davis dropped to a knee, Roach fully expected Willis to enforce the standard 10 count. Willis began counting but inexplicably stopped at 3, choosing not to rule it a knockdown. That controversial decision ultimately shaped the fight's outcome. If y'all didn't notice, he started to count, and then he stopped. So when he resumed the action, I was like, "What are you doing? Keep counting." Roach recalled, clearly frustrated. To make matters worse, one of Davis' coaches, Calvin Ford, brazenly stepped onto the ring mid-round to wipe his fighter's face, an undeniable rule violation that could have resulted in a disqualification. For a seasoned referee like Willis, such oversights in a high-stakes championship fight were baffling. It's no surprise that Roach and his team are outraged, viewing this as a blatant officiating misstep. Roach isn't alone in calling for change. Several top fighters have voiced their frustrations. Fighters react to the controversy. Ryan Garcia took to X, questioning the commission's consistency. What I'm wondering is if the commission only makes changes when you complain and cry like Haney, or do they actually care about the integrity of the sport? Nothing against Tank, but since the commission switched my victory, they should switch this victory for Roach. They won't though, because they were out to get me from the beginning. Meanwhile, Terrence Crawford also chimed in, tweeting, "Roach won. That should have been called a knockdown. Let's see what happens." Just minutes later, Crawford doubled down. "I've never seen someone take a knee and they don't count it as a knockdown. Must have forgotten the rules for tonight." Adding another layer to the conversation, Teofimo Lopez offered his perspective, not just on the Roach fight, but on another high-profile matchup as well. During a Fatal Fury press conference in New York, Fight Hype caught up with Lopez and asked how he thought a potential fight between Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson would play out. Without hesitation, Lopez responded, "I still think Tank will win against Shakur. Technically, I just think like that." He continued, expressing that Davis needed this controversial fight against Roach. Tank had been sitting on his laurels. This was needed for Gervonta, Lopez said, suggesting that Davis will now be more cautious moving forward. When asked who he believed won on March 1st, Lopez admitted, "To be honest, I'll say Tank, for the name. As for the knee controversy, it doesn't really matter. Guys, it's boxing business." Lopez shrugged. What's next? With the controversy still raging, the debate over whether Davis and Roach should run it back continues to heat up. Will the pressure from fans and fellow fighters lead to a rematch? Or will this moment become another infamous chapter in boxing history?